get a quick hour in. So today we're gonna talk about Python. This is the episode from I missed from Monday. So uh, well, again, when it comes to Python, I'm trying to educate students as well as adults. We're trying to get something else in there to learn some other computer type languages. But it's never too late to learn, right? Never too late to learn. So the feedback I got from some students, hey, don't go too fast, break it down a little bit more. So how to use certain things, this and that. And I said, oh yeah, again, keep coming at me, keep asking questions, keep making notifications. Um, but again, I'm doing this for like no cost, whatever. It's just video for my students that they when they look at stuff and learn something in class, they want to review, they want to learn more about it. Hey, that's what this is for. This is not like side stuff, whatever. But again, it's helped me practice so I can present better and more efficiently in class. So, hey, enough with the talk. All right, so this was the last time we met. We talked about my first NumPy. We were going to go into NumPy. Why do we use it? Why can't I just use simple math, right? So let me get my mic here going. Here. All right. So let's save this file. Let's create a file. Right. We're gonna create a file, and we're gonna name it. I don't know. Let's say arcade store. Okay, and arcade store.py. Okay, so I named it Arcade Store by PY. Okay, so let me get this mic real close so I can see my keyboard and stuff. All right, so what we're gonna do is today I'm show you how to do some normal math, stuff that you learn in stats class. So especially if you don't have a graphic calculator. But we're gonna do like adding, subtracting. We're gonna find the max. We're gonna find the min, like the maximum number, the minimum number. We'll find the average, known as the mean, and we'll do some standard deviation stuff in there. But just simple, basic math. All right, 1 hour of power streaming. So there's a package library called NumPy. It's for numbers for Python. It has a bunch of already pre-configured formulas already built in there, just like when you use Excel. You could do the auto sum, or you could add each cell location. A1, A2, A3, A4, A5, go straight down the line. And then add it up. But if you do auto sum, it will automatically add up the column. So if you have 1,000 records, 500 records, or even 50 records, why type each location, right? So if you're not sure what I'm saying here, so I'll bring up Microsoft Excel, okay? And if everyone can see this, I want to make sure it shows up in the stream, okay? Try to make sure it shows in the stream so it doesn't look too crazy here. Try to make sure it shows up in the stream here. All right, yep, it shows up in the stream. All right, so let me go back to where I was. So, like I said, so if I go like 45, 52, 85, 75, all right, and you wanted to add them all up. So normal place would be like A1 plus A2 plus A3 plus A4, all right, and it's all up, all right? You got it all up. So that let's say that's the total, so we don't lose track of this. And then of course, because I have 4 items, you could say equals. I'm gonna take A5. I could just click it, divided by 4. Poof, that gives me the average. All right, so you know this. But what makes it easier in Excel, you could just type sum, highlight the row, or you could type it in. Poof, gives you the same thing. Or you could type in average. Okay, highlight the whole thing. Poof. And it gives you that. So, what you see in Excel, instead of you figuring out the formula yourself, all right, and doing the manual labor, you're using libraries. You're using libraries where it has the formula in here. It's part of Excel. And as Excel excels, you can do a whole bunch of stuff. And then, of course, you can see it in the formula section. I got to do that zoom. I got to do that zoom for you guys. All right. So if I go here, okay. So if I go to the formula section, you got the financial formulas. Like I remember when Excel first came out, you had auto sum, but you didn't have a whole bunch of other stuff. But you have other formulas for logical, simple math and trigonometry, pre-calc, calculus stuff in there. There's other functions for like engineering. You can see break it down. All right. So you could do this stuff manually, or you could use the libraries in Excel. So I'm gonna close this out. So same thing with Python. You could do pure Python to do the work. Okay, if I'm looking at the stream, and I know no one's awake this morning. So you could look at using pure Python and doing the math. So let's do this. Oops. Zoom in. All right, and I'll close this. We don't need the others there, and we'll close this. Just all right. So what we're gonna do? Let's say I type in sales, right? Okay. Now remember what we used. We're gonna create an array. That's what we talked about last week. So now, if you don't remember what an array is, instead of me typing 23 and then creating another variable, sales 2 equals 45, and then crazy stuff, right? That's insane. I could just use a list, okay? I could use a list. So a list, in this case, an array where, hey, it's a variable where instead of assigning one numeric value or value to the variable like 23, I'm gonna create an array. So I'm gonna use 42, and I'm making up these numbers, so there's no rhyme or reason. 55 and 38, 61. Some people say, is that your age? Stop. 72, hey, that could be my age. 33, 58, and 65, and let's do one more, 47. All right, so with this, all these numbers have been assigned to this. So this is officially a container, okay? Officially a container. All right, so these are my basic numbers. Now we're gonna do, let's figure out the maximum. All right, so maximum, okay. Now I'm just creating a variable. But basic math, this is basic math in Python. I can actually type in max, and inside, it's a function. It's a program that was already created, okay? This was created. It was already created and it's part of Python. I'm not using NumPy. And I type in the variable sales. So now, again, this is a variable. I could type in highest, I could type in high, I could type in max, it doesn't matter. It's this, okay? So this tells me, hey, I'm looking for the max, all right? So that's what I love about VS Code. So if you're new at this, it tells you like stuff. So let's do minimum, okay, equals the min, sales. So now it's gonna find the minimum, all right? And let's say total equals, all right? And it'll be sum, and sales. Okay, so this is gonna add them all up for me. And I could do average. Okay, and remember total, I created a variable. I could take total divided by, yeah. I can write down how many numbers I have here, okay? And so I can say total divided by this, right? Just like I did in Excel, except I'll do something a little simpler. Len tells me, hey, I'm looking for how many records I have or how many characters I have. In this case, len what? I'm saying, hey, I want to know what's in here because I'm typing sales. And it's going to go in here and tell me how many records I have, how many items are in my container, okay? So if I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, I have 10 items, it'll say I have 10 items. So no matter what the total is, divided by 10. So if I add like 20 more, this still works. I could just still leave it because it's going to say I have 20 plus 10, I have 30 records divided by the total. All right, so again, I'm doing the same thing, right? So print Okay, so we don't go nuts. Let's say this is max. All right, this is our max, and I'll make it nice and clean. Okay, nice and clean. So max, and what I'm gonna do is, oh wait a minute, I forgot my comma. And what am I gonna do? I'm doing maximum. Okay, so I got my maximum. So in this case, this is gonna display my max, right? Nice and pretty. Come on, come on. Did I print? Oh yeah, max 72. Okay, so I could do the same thing. Print. There. And that's my minimum. Okay, and let's go print. Gotta move this mic back. I'm not one of those 100 words per minute folks. Total. And print. And this would be my average. Oh, let's call it, yeah. Or we could call it mean. Try to make it look some professional. And I take it. All right. So I got my max, minimum, poof. All right. To make it look nice and clean. So I got that stuff. All right. Again, I'm using Python. Okay. I'm just using Python. Oh, gotta move over camera. I'm just using Python. And of course, let's say I want to do standard deviation. Now, this is where you start. You gotta know your math, right? So check this out. So I'm gonna do my standard deviation because you know my average. Oops, my average. Oops, is your average, mean is your average. But hey, we're starting getting a little technical, right? So let's say mean again. It's a variable. Mean equals the sum, okay, of sales, or I could just type in total. Okay, remember it's the sum of sales divided by the length, right? But if I already have that here, but I'm just giving you guys an example, like you can start playing around with this. All right, you can start playing around with it because you know totals here, length sales, but you already have it, so why even have this, right? Or you can say mean equals average. It doesn't matter. Okay, it doesn't matter. But like I said, you're playing around with this, but you're doing this manually. Okay, so you know this works. This works. So I could say, hey, standard deviation. Okay, equals. Again, I'm just creating a variable. The math for standard deviation. We need to create a because I'm not gonna do that fancy math and power, this and that. There's a whole bunch of stuff, but I'm gonna have to create a loop and go into say, so let's do this. We're gonna do this sum, right? So just so everybody understands, we're gonna figure out the variance. Variance is the sum. Okay. Try to figure out sum. So it's whatever x is minus the mean. You're like, what? What? Okay, so x minus the mean, right? So, all right, and you're just like, but what is x? Like, what is? Well, again, would be a loop. All right, we're gonna use it in the loop. All right, you're like, what? I'm gonna use it in the loop. So check it out. To the power, okay, of 2. Okay, now keep in mind, then we're gonna use a loop for x in. All right, now you see where the x goes away. In, let me see, where is it? Sales. Yeah, sales, because we have to do that. Yeah, sales. Okay, and divided by the length of the objects. In other words, the numbers, the records in that sales. So you're like, whoa, you just lost me. You just lost me, right? I'm trying to identify the variance. Okay, I'm trying to identify the variance. So if you took stats before, if you had to do it manually, I always like teaching the students how to manually figure out the variance and standard deviation. And when they see it, they appreciate the graphic calculator or the scientific calculator. They really appreciate it. They really learn how to use it instead of doing all the long work. So this would be my math to figure out the variance. And if I know the variance, then it's very easy for me to get the standard deviation. Okay, because the variance is I need to find the square root. So the square root, and so instead of power to, it's like taking it in half, right? So that would give me my variance, but also my standard deviation. So if I do print standard deviation, I got these fat fingers. Okay. Standard deviation. I'm gonna do SD. Yep, there it is. All right. So it's gonna give me the standard deviation. So check this out. Ooh, long number, right? Long number. This is like 11.77222. All right. Let's change that a little bit. Let's round it. You're like, what? Round it. Okay, we round the standard deviation, but we round it. We want to do like they say 2 decimal places. All right. So we got round it 2 decimal places. Poof. Awesome. All right. So that's that. Okay. That's this. All right. But now there's another way. You're like, what? Yes, let's do the same thing, right? We're gonna do the same thing, except Python also gives you access to a basic library. It's called statistics. Oh, everything's case sensitive. Okay, statistics, right? So that's a package in Python. Okay, it's not NumPy. We're not installing NumPy yet. Okay, we're gonna do the same thing. All right, we're using the same numbers instead of all this. All right, except all this. Check this out. You ready? Right, this is gonna freak you out. Except all this. What I'm gonna do is let's get rid of all this. What? Let's get rid of it. Poof. Okay, and this is what we're gonna do. Print. Are you ready? Max. This is just a thing with before, right? This is before. I'm gonna zoom in so you guys can see it. Max, right? Comma, max. Okay, and you're like, what? Sales. Okay. It brings out to my max, right? Brings out my max. So I'm gonna jump right into statistics, right? So check this out. Print, ready? Min. Okay, min sales. Okay, oops. So it puts out my min. So you're ready for this, right? Here we go. Print. Try to make it just like pretty. All right. So we got the mean, right? Check this out. I'm gonna type in statistics. Shut up. And I'm gonna hit dot. If you watch my other videos with Python using game development, same thing like that, or even Java, you'll notice dot gives me options. Shut up. There's the mean. Poof. All right. So it's another library. And what am I gonna get the mean for? Sales. Oops, I put a 0 instead. All right. And I could do better yet. All right. And I'll type in statistics. Okay. And what I'm going to type? Oops, what am I? Not comma. Period. Median. Shut up. All right. Median what? Sales. So if I could do that, then I could just do standard deviation. Comma. Thank you. Going nuts. Dot. And I'll scroll down. Okay, and there's standard deviation. Okay. All right. There's less formulas, right? I don't have to memorize formulas, right? Oh, poof. Whoa. Whoa. Hey, try this. Remember the round? Does that still work? Okay. Does that still work? Does it? Ah! Ah! Oh man, I thought I was typing. All right, I got my max. So, okay. So, why is it working with this? All right. Why is it working? Well, then you run into some problems, right? Like rounding, this, that. So, um, I would say if this doesn't work, oops, sales too. And I always tell myself, my students, if it doesn't work, it's all right. There's other ways around it, this and that. But if it doesn't work and you're trying to print this out, right? I would say, well, can you do certain things, right? Can you do certain things? So what if I put an F here, okay? And then if I'm doing this, how will this work, right? Because I'm trying to, well, it should work. If I'm trying to do this, because I have standard deviation, but I have round, okay? I have round. So if this doesn't work here, can you put this in the value? I always tell myself, folks, you could probably put in a form, because I was gonna say put in a variable, because there's always around it. So let's say proper std okay, equals, all right, statistics, okay, dot oops, did I put it? I said st dev, okay, sales. Okay, so it's gonna give us a round number, right? All right, and then you go print. All right, you ready? Okay, round. Okay, there's always a way around it. Again, round, boom, and what am I rounding? Proper standard deviation, comma 2. Okay, and then here, eliminate it. There's always ways around stuff. You could do the format option, oops, or you could do, just gonna print out the standard deviation. But I want to put it in the words. I want you to guys see it here, but I'm gonna say you could also do it there too. You could also do it there too. Like if you want it to be in here. Okay, so I took statistics, assigned it to there, and I put it here. So you could actually see it working, right? But then I could also put it in here too. I could also assign it to a variable. So, I keep my camera. All right. So there's different ways of doing this. Like you're trying to play it in there and play around with the decimal places. So you're like, I can still do this? Yes. You can still do that, because if I assign it to a standard a variable, a lot easier. But there's different ways. The reason why I put the F here, because then you can do the format version and play around and see how that goes. Like if you wanted to look a specific way, this and that. So again, other thing. All right. Now, let's see why NumPy exists, right? So if you're saying I could do Python, do that standard normal formula and stuff, But yeah, it's a lot more work because I would have to know the formulas and all that stuff and do it that way. Or I can just import statistics without installing anything. I can do that, right? Yeah. But NumPy, you're gonna know why NumPy exists, right? So you're gonna see that. So let's say, all right, we're not importing statistics. That's all. Oh man, you know what I just remember? I don't feel like typing all this again. So let's get rid of all this. And instead of statistics, we're gonna import NumPy. Now the thing is, for you to import NumPy, you need to install NumPy. So click on your terminal and do a pip install NumPy. Now I already have it installed. Okay, I already have it installed, so they'll say no, you can't because you can't rewrite over. See, the hotbyte is already satisfied because it's already there. But when you type in pip install NumPy, it'll install the package for you. Okay, and it's great how the community can work together. You got all these free packages for Python that's always up to date and stuff like that. So people always ask, why does it keep saying there's updates out there? Well, because hardware changes and CPUs are faster. So you could do more things. If you could do more things, hey, these big, huge lines of code that does this, let's add something else in there and make it shorter, stuff like that. So that's it. After you install NumPy, now you can import NumPy. Now, the thing is, when we import NumPy, there's a lot of stuff in there. So I always say, if you're gonna import an entire library and whenever you want to use it, like remember statistics dot, you go and say, I could always have said import statistics as stat, but stat could mean something for something else. So you could create something unique. But a common thing that's out there is import NumPy as NP. That's common. Now the reason why you see like a dark green because it's not being used. Yes, I'm importing it. It does exist. I have it installed. All right. And by the way, there is documentation on it. There's lots of stuff. So during your reading, use your phone and you can read up the documentation. All right. I'm going to use the same thing, the same array, except it's different. NumPy, because I'm using NumPy and it has all these little special features, I have to define an array in a very particular way. So I have to do NP. Okay. Now NP, and once I have an NP, it's going to ask, hey, what are you trying to do? I'm not trying to round, whatever. I need to identify it as an array. Okay. So identify as an array. So the array is actually a function. Okay. So a program. So in NumPy, there's a program for an array. All right. So if I put my mouse over array, you can sort it, this and that. Oh my gosh. You're like, what? Yes, I can sort records. So it's like by last name, first name, numbers. Oh, so now this has been identified as a true array under NumPy. Okay. So if I do print, okay, say before, print max, okay, you still got the same thing, right? It's still the same thing, except I just do sales max. Okay, so I'll print out the max of, no, not this way. I forgot, it's different. Dot max. Okay. Woo! I'm like doing the old way. Oh, and boom. Okay, so I got the max. So print comma sales. Okay, dot min. Okay, so that's my min. And I thought I did it. This is because I'm running the function. All right, so I got my sales.min. So I got my max, got my min. But what if I want to do the mean? Yeah, you could do that. Okay, so again, sales, right? Dot mean. Okay, so and then I could do standard deviation. Okay, now sales, STD. All right, so I got that. And remember, it's also a function. All right, so it makes it much shorter. You notice that? So I don't have to type a lot more. Just make sure you identify your array. Poof. And you got that. So again, like, what else can I do? Like, you could do more math functions. So to man, I keep thinking I'm typing. Okay, what I was trying to do. Let's add one. Let's add one around. Okay. So remember how I did before? You have different ways of doing it. You can play around this, that. So let's add one around, because remember here, I think I'm typing. So I want to round this. You don't need to round that. You want to round this. So remember I did it before. I want to do it in here. So I'll do standard deviation. All right. And because I'm going to do something kind of funky, I'm going to go into that NumPy library, NP dot. Remember you saw round, not random. Remember round. So round. It's already built in. Okay. So I'm going to round. And what am I rounding? This. Okay. Now, remember how many decimal places? Comma 2. 2 decimal places. So I'm rounding this. Okay. I'm rounding sales using standard deviation. But I wanted 2 decimal places. That's why you have the NP round. Okay. So everybody in there. So, I'm missing an parentheses right there. Okay. So access the NP library. I'm using round. And what am I rounding? Sales. Which that's using the NumPy library, which is calculating the standard deviation. So, okay. So it makes it cleaner. All right. So it makes it cleaner. So instead of me using for the format, this and that, the F options, you don't have to do that. You could just, put it around. But let's say you wanted to. All right. So let's say with the max, I'm just using an example. I'll type in F just like I did last time. But what am I looking at to customize? Remember, curly bracket. Okay. I'm using it to customize this curly bracket. And then, all right. Now remember, it's still in the curly bracket. I'm going to go curly bracket here. Okay. But it's still not going to be right. All right. So I need this. But I have to get rid of this. Because when you put F here, it's going to look at the whole, whatever is in the double quotations, right? Double quotations. So now the thing is, it's just doing the format. I'm going to do the same thing here. You notice I need to do like criteria, like 2 decimal places, right? Because it's already whole numbers. All right. So curly bracket, poof. Okay. Ooh. I forgot it. Thought I did put it there. Okay. So I got that. All right. And then I'm here. Oops. Here. F. Take the question mark. Oh. And I keep forgetting I don't need the comma. Because it's still in the string. Still in the string. Curly bracket. When you do this a few times, you start getting really good at it. I forgot the curly bracket. Okay, so I got that. But here, remember the mean you had like multiple decimal places. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put 2 decimal places. So I have to be inside the curly bracket. So to identify it, where I'm gonna do it, I have to use the colon. And then when you do colon, it's colon point. And 2 decimal places, and then that's your F. Okay, so you're good so far. Then I'm gonna do it down here, F. Okay, this makes it a lot cleaner. Okay, just when people do this, take the comma out, and then it's gonna be curly bracket, this value, all right? So that's where I'm at, and then colon, period, 2 decimal places, F, and then curly bracket, all right? And then Poof. Now I think I don't, yeah, I don't need this anymore except for boom. And I got another way, poof. Okay, did I do it right? So, oops. I got my open parentheses, F, standard deviation, colon, my curly bracket, right? And P round, okay. So, now, I don't need the round anymore, as I just realized, because I'm rounding it up anyway. So, I could take this out, okay. All right, check this out. I could take NP out, all right. And let me see, guys, open parentheses. I had an extra one. All right. So I don't need to do the NP, open up the library. But it depends. It depends what type of person you are. So, poof. There you go. Okay. So you could do some other things. All right. Let's say you want to round everything at once. Like you could put it up here. Like if I want to round everything, you could say, hey, let's look at the entire array, or let's say I want to put everything all in the same array. Like this is like going to advanced mode, right? So I could say stats, okay, equals, like I say NP, and I'm gonna do an array. All right, and I'm gonna take the sales array. Okay, so boom, I want to make sure knowledge is a container, sales dot, and the thing is, what am I gonna do? I'm looking for the mean. Oh, I could just go down. Looking for the mean, and that's, remember, it's a function. Oops, remember it's a function, and within that array, I want to do something else. Standard deviation. I'm like, what are you doing? CD, and remember that's a function. Okay. And so it's gonna give me the mean. Oh, so I'm doing all this in one. So then I'm gonna print it out. This is how you get really good at this. NP dot round. Okay. And stats. I'm like keep looking at myself. Stats. Comma 2. And then you go. So I like to make it clean. Move. So I have my 72, 33, 52, standard deviation, 11.7, and I could put this all in the container because that's what it is. Remember, it's in the container. So, but and I could use later. So again, you could do a lot more. All right. So you have standard deviations. Oops. Let's see what else is in here. All right. So. We got the average, binary. I mean, I'm not a statistician as far as a rocket scientist, but you'll see that in your stats book. You can actually write code and look at all these formulas that's in the back of your book and in front of the book, and you can write code for it because it's an NumPy library. So let's do something else. I'm gonna do no more. This is why I hate. I'm thinking I'm typing, and I'm like typing real quick, and you gotta look, and I'm like, what am I typing at? I was like, this is why I'm scared. It's like those ghost typing. You're typing and all right. So, let's do something else. Right? We got all that. So let's do NumPy. I'm trying to NumPy. So let's say we're gonna do like it takes me like my commute time to work. All right, commute time. Okay, so I'm doing my commute time. All right, so I'm gonna do commute times to work. Now I'm gonna use NumPy array, right? So remember the array, and then remember the array, you gotta do parentheses because you wanna do it properly, right? So let me see, 28 minutes, 32 minutes, 30 minutes, 30 minutes, 35, and you probably wonder, hey, why are you doing this? Oh, I know what you're gonna do. What am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? All right, comma 38, comma 31. Oops. Comma 31, and comma 50. Okay. Now I know in the other program I like to list it downward. Now I don't know how many times I put in there. Okay. Don't even rush. I don't know how many times. So I'm gonna analyze the data. Okay. I'm gonna analyze data. All right. I just got my array. I'm gonna analyze data. So let's say print. Okay. So I'm gonna say commute times. All right. So I got my compute times, right? All right. So I'm just showing. Try to be really nice. So let's say commute time. Okay. Okay. Let's see how this looks. Commute times. All right. I've done this before. We can print out an array. Like, I've done that before. Okay. All right. So again, commute times. You notice? Like in others, when I say print the value, it'll give me just everything in the array. But in this case, I get to put this in there. Ooh, okay. So let's do this. Commute, all right? But I'm gonna do the fastest commute. Okay, fastest commute. Okay, so you're probably wondering, what is that? I'm doing in minutes, all right? And I'm gonna do the min. What? So, oops, comma, commute. I'm gonna do commute time dot min, okay? But hold on, it's in minutes, right? So I'm gonna put minutes. So I can add some stuff in there. Fastest commute time, 27 minutes. Whoa, okay? So try to make it so cleaner. And if I could do that, so print longest / lowest commute now that would be max, right? So longest, slowest commute time max, of course the highest number. Okay, so you could round that. So let's say I want to do average, right? Want to do average. So print. Remember this thing, all this stuff you can assign it to variables, right? To do all that. Say average. Oops. Average commute. Right, average commute. All right, so you're gonna say commute time dot mean. All right, now remember it's a function. Get a function, and then comma equals minutes. Hold on. Okay, going crazy. Okay, now, I don't like this 34.91666666. I like that. So I'm gonna do np dot round, right? Right. Remember that's a function, and it's a function inside another function, right? So it'll be comma 2 close parentheses. Yeah, because I got this, got that. But I have the NP round, so I need to tell how many decimal places. So, okay, NP round, that commute time, that mean, I did this right. Right here. I forgot it. I love VS Code. I forgot a comma. So it's comma here. Now you probably wondering why. That's because remember, I have string, a variable that has a value, and then comma another string. So I need to tell her like, hey, I'm adding something else. Okay. So there we go. 34.92 minutes average commute time. All right. So I'm able to do all this. Now I can add these numbers, right? I can add these numbers and it'll change my value. So let's say if I type in 60, comma, okay. So it changed my value. All right, slowest is now 60 minutes. So I could just keep adding. So if you have something that you're keeping tracking of, you could create an API, which is like an interface where you could use a scanner, a phone, or a clock, whatever, and they actually take that information and your code just runs it. So now you could do the same thing with this is the average. You could do the same thing with standard deviation, right? You could do the same thing with standard deviation, but how about if I want to do some other things? Like, can I do like mode? Because you notice I did this on on purpose, right? So now the thing is, you don't type in mode. It's actually unique. Like what? Yeah. So let's say I want to see how many times something has showed up, and you want to figure out which one it is, this and that. So let's create two variables, right? I still have this. This is still here. So we're gonna do something else. So it doesn't matter where we put it, but I just want to make sure everybody understands what we're typing in. So what I'm gonna do, let's say values. I'm looking at values. I just created that variable. Count. Just created that variable. So these are two separate variables, right? And I'm looking at the time too. So now the minute I put the equal sign, it knows I'm using two separate variables, right? So what am I gonna do inside? I'm gonna use NumPy, okay? But I'm looking for unique, okay? Unique is gonna identify like what is in there that's the most and how many times. So like unique numbers. So I have my commute time, poof. I have my commute time, and I want it to return what? Counts. Okay, return counts. Okay, so poof. So this is this, and this is this. So when it finds unique ones that have more, they're a duplicate, right? So I got that. That's all my variables done. Now you can keep these separate if you wish. I just happen to get together just to make it short, just to make it quick. So again, gets unique values and how often they appear. That's all it does. All right. Now the thing is, I need to find out, because these are records. If you remember the previous sessions, this is record 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I need to identify, like, find the index records, okay, of the most frequent value, right? Because I can have like 30 show up a couple times, this, that, I don't know. All right. So if I have that, check this out. If I have that, then let's create something else. Let's call this mode index. All right. It's not a program. We're just creating a variable, mode index. So NumPy. And what I'm going to do is I need to find the max, okay, in counts. Okay, because it's gonna count, it's gonna see a number, it's gonna say 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, and it's gonna say like this occurred 1 time, this occurred 3 times, this occurred 4 times. I need to know the one that shows up the highest. Okay, this is gonna count how many numbers have showed up more than once, but I need the one that shows up the highest. Okay, and I assigned it to a variable called mode index. So then I'm gonna create another one. You're like, dang, this is just for mode? Yeah, this is just using mode, right? So I mean in NumPy, right? So mode value, okay, equals values. Now once you do this once, you're always gonna save it. All right, and I'm gonna do, it's gonna be in my mode index. Okay, so again, finding the max, and it's gonna keep record. So, and I'm gonna do, yeah, let's make it up. Mode count, and it's gonna count, okay, counts, and I'm doing mode index, okay, so I got that. So I got everything. Should be, we're gonna find out if it works. It should work. Print. Now we're gonna print out the mode. Okay, we're gonna print out the mode. So the mode, Now, what are we gonna do? I want to figure out what is my mode value. Okay. What is the number? And I want to know, oops, I didn't mean to put that there. Okay. Move out. I don't need this. Okay. I want to know what it is, and then I want to know how many times. Okay. Let's call it frequency. Okay, that would be my mode count. Okay. It's gonna tell me how many times. All right, so right now, if I look at this, I have 30, 33, yeah, should be 30. But twice. Now, what if I add another 30? 3 times. Now, what if I add a 45? All right, still shows 30. So what if I add another 45, but it's further down? All right, so I want you guys to see that this is actually working. Ooh, what is it happening? Okay, I have 2 numbers. Okay. Oh, man. Okay. What if I have 2 numbers? Okay. So it's so you start looking at So we're looking for the maximum. Okay. So check this out. I have values, I have counts, right? That still stays. That still stays. That still stays. Okay. I'm trying to make sure I keep following myself on the camera. But I need something that's gonna show me the maximum number. So I need to find all of them, okay? That has a max count. So I need to change something. So instead of argument finding the max, okay, I'm gonna take this out. Okay, that's gone. All right, so I have what I need to do is I need to do max count. So I have this values, unique, commute time. Okay. Counts equals true. So what I need to do is, I should have done this in the first place. Let's say max count is equal, I want to know my count dot max. Okay. So max count is going to find the highest frequency. Okay. Highest frequency. So that's in here. So then what I'm going to do is then I'm going to go to the modes. I'm going to find all the values. So in case there's like more than one. So my mode value is going to change. So I can say, so I don't get confused. Let's say modes equal, we're going to do this. Values, and it's values. We're going to look at it in the container, right? Counts is equal, not equal, equals to max count. Okay, so this is gone. Modes equals. So I got the max count. So it's gonna look for whatever has the highest and whatever is equal to that amount that is equal to that. So that's what we're doing. So we're gonna find the value for it. So this is gone. This is actually shorter. And this will print out the actual mode. Okay, and here will give me the max count. Okay, 30 to 45. Okay, 30 to 45. So again, NumPy allows you to do a little bit more things versus straight Python. And then even if you didn't want to install NumPy, you could use statistics, which is a basic package, part of Python. It's already there. You just got to import that library. So again, with NumPy, you could do a little bit more things. And especially when you have some things that have like when you want to identify bimodal, that goes into something else. Like you have, like the two humps. So you could go into some other things. But again, purpose of using NumPy, you can write code a lot cleaner, faster, less lines of code because you're using resources from a library that's already been created. A lot more formulas you can use that's already been created instead of you manually creating it yourself, just like I used in Excel. So other than that, we're past the hour. Thank you for watching, and I hope this brings up a little better understanding of how NumPy is used with Python, and then we're going to talk about matplotlib package, and of course Panda, when you can start opening Excel files. So that's something else we're going to get into. Anyway, I'll see you in the next session. See you guys, everybody.